We're out at low tide today. I mean, it is a really low tide today. These are the 10 things that I think you should be looking for at low tide. I've got 2 things that take precedence over all of the other tips in this video, and I'm gonna put those later on in the video. They are the most important too. But this is the perfect time to show you what the benefits are of coming down at low tide, checking your marks out, and seeing what the lay of the land is, dude. I mean, you've got mud flat right here. You've got a little, let me see if I can get down here without breaking my neck. With this water flow right here, just when the tide comes up, doesn't mean that water flow stops. It still has to come out. So you've got this gully, what you can see at low tide. You've got those little, those little cliff things. Bass will hide right next to those or into the crevices, and they'll just wait for food to come by. This spot right here is really low, which is absolutely perfect. Tip number 1, whoa, it's a bit squidgy right there and almost fell over. To catch fish, you gotta be a fish. Or you gotta think like a fish. So where would you hide? Where would you chill out to get some food? Go and find your structure. That doesn't mean cars, broken boats, piers, things like that. I mean, that helps, but this little thing right here is structure, dude. The seaweed is structure. The wall over there is structure. So find your structure, man. Tip number 2, man. Another thing to look for when you come out is mud flats. Don't discount the flat areas, because crabs, I don't know if there's any under there. Crabs and all that stuff will stay under these rocks and this kind of seaweed stuff. And as the tide comes in, those crabs are gonna wanna go back into the water, and the bass will hunt these little flat bits looking for crabs and all that stuff. So mud flats is a good idea. Man, this water is filthy and I'm sweating right now. Spring is coming, boys and girls. So yeah, these things where crabs can hide and just chill out. When that tide starts to come up, bass will hunt all these little areas. Don't miss out on the flat areas. Just because there's no structure there doesn't mean there isn't bass there, man. Tip number 3 is shallow water is good water, man. When bass come in, it's a little bit clearer when that tide is coming in, and bass will come into these flats and they'll feed on stuff. They'll feed on the crabs. You've got oyster beds here. They'll come in, eat all around here. Eat all around here? The hell was that? Eat all around here. They usually come up into the shallows. Bass like shallow water. There's been a whole slew of times that I've had bass in less than 6 inches of water, man. So they are there even when the water's shallow. So, I mean, come out here, you've got this shallow water like this. You've got crabs coming in as the tide's coming up, because they sit up there and they chill out and they wait in the weeds. Tide comes up, they go into the water, and bass feed on that stuff in the shallows, dude. Shallow water is good water, dude. Tip number 4 is your current. What'll happen is usually bass will sit in the current and they'll just sit there and they'll wait. I don't know if you can see it very much because of the wind and the water's dirty, but there is an actual current up this way. Bass, in a perfect world, will sit right on that end and they'll wait for the food, for the current to push the food up straight into their mouth. So that's tip number 4. Go and find your current, find it in shallow water, find some structure, and you're golden. I wish I was golden on some fish. I'm gonna get a lure out right now. I can't remember where we are. 5, 6, I think we're at 6. Anyway, tip number 6 is weed beds, dude. Weed beds. I mean, all this stuff right here, when that tide comes up and it sits on top of all this weed, this is where bass come and look for food. You've got this little cliff area, so they'll come and they'll sit right in here. And they'll scavenge all this weed bed. They're looking for food. Mud flat, crevice, weed bed. That is the trifecta of bass, dude. That's the kind of stuff that you gotta look for. So that is tip number 6. Doesn't have to be flat weed either. You've got bladderwrack everywhere, flowing water. In this one place, you've got all 10 things that you need to hunt down bass at low tide, dude. Tip number 8, I think, when you get down to a spot, check out your bait fish situation. How are they swimming? What kind of bait fish are they? Are they skinny ones? Are they fat ones? Are they swimming around in schools? Are they swimming by themselves? What color are they? There might not be any bait fish there, but that doesn't mean that there's not bass there either. Bass are hunters. They'll go with the tide and they'll take that tide up a little bit, flip themselves around and wait for those bait fish to be carried straight into their mouth. Another good thing about coming down at low tide is you can see the topography. That is the technical term for it, but it's the lay of the land. You can see where the mud flats are, you can see where the gullies are, you can see where the weed beds are. Go down at low, a couple different places, and look at the lay of the land. The best way to learn the lay of the land at low tide is get your butt down there and at a dead low, see what you can see. There will be fish over there and you know where you're walking, you know where you're casting, and all sorts of hoojibee bob. So here's my last 2 tips, man. They're the most important of all of the tips that I've given. When you get down to a place, make sure that you adapt to your conditions. If there's a flow going and you've got a really light lure on and it's just drifting across the top, go heavier. Go a different color, go a different profile, adapt to your conditions. If you're using a J hook and there's lots of weed around, go to a weedless hook. Don't be afraid to try things, dude. Every session that you go to is an absolute learning session. So don't be afraid to try things, man. All right, so I've given you 9 tips so far. This is the 10th one. I think I've given you 9. I hope it's 9. I hope nobody's counting because I lost count at about 5. But the 10th tip that I can give you is the most important one of all, and that's patience. You have to have patience. You're gonna go out, you're gonna put all these things into practice, and you're gonna blank. And you'll probably blank lots. But if you put all these things together and you study your spots, you go out, you learn stuff, you find stuff, you check out the bait fish, you check out the lay of the land, and eventually you're gonna get yourself into some bass and you have a hell of a lot more chances. So patience, 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 and get your butts out and go fishing.